There was a casting producer that I actually met when I was at CES several years ago. And he'd asked us, like, hey, have you ever thought about going on Shark Tank?
Hi there, my name is George, and welcome to the Crowdfunding Academy podcast. I used to work at Kickstarter, and currently I help creators run successful campaigns with my company's YG and Fantastic Funding. On this podcast, you'll hear from creators and my team how they consistently launch record-breaking campaigns so you can do the same. Our guest today is Riley Keene. Riley is the CEO of CharaChorder, the keyboard that lets you type at the speed of thought. CharaChorder has seen an astronomical rise over the past few years, from a device that was actually mostly used in courtrooms to launching a range of highly successful products through their website, Kickstarter, and maybe through Shark Tank. Riley has also risen to TikTok fame with his insane videos of him literally typing faster than I can think. Riley, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Happy to be here.
Before we dive into your company and your products, can you explain to folks listening who might not be familiar with chording what chording is?
Yeah, absolutely. So the product that is our bestseller, and I think what we're most famous for, is called the CharaChorder One. And this is the device I'm holding up right now, which has three-dimensional switches rather than one-dimensional switches. And it's a total keyboard replacement. So imagine that if instead of hitting letters like in a one-dimensional motion, you're using all the muscles in your hands to wiggle your fingers around in different directions. But what's really powerful about it is, in addition to that, it is also the first device that was ever designed for fluid chorded character entry. That's the name of the technology that we developed, which powers all CharaChorder devices. And what that means is that in addition to hitting letters one at a time, you can also smash lots of letters simultaneously. And there's a chip, an internal intelligence inside the device, which will detect whenever you're trying to chord rather than the character entry. And then it's going to output an entire word or even a phrase based on what letters you're hitting in that simultaneous rather than sequential order.
Like courtroom typists use this way of typing, right? To just keep up with the dialogue as it's happening in a courtroom?
I actually just put out a lecture titled The History of Chorded Text Entry, where I talk about all the different types of chording and how they've all inspired each other over time, because the stenotype machine is not the only chorded device that was ever invented. Like a keyboard, a steno machine was invented before we had computers and electricity, and it was invented in order to transcribe human speech. But a CharaChorder is a device which combines the ultra high speed text entry that you might get with a steno machine with the flexibility of a keyboard. So if like a keyboard and a stenotype and actually a bunch of other devices like all got together and had a baby and created what we hope to be the new standard for the digital age. In addition to the CharaChorder One, which a lot of people are really intimidated by, we also have what's called the CharaChorder Lite. So this takes the same technology, but ports it into a more familiar package, that QWERTY layout, which obviously is not optimized for chording. But if you don't want to relearn how to type and you want to just start integrating chords into your typing workflow at whatever rate is comfortable for you, that's a great option because it's immediately additive.
How did this come to be a company and a business for you? You saw this somewhere, you got inspired. I know maybe you've been doing this for years, but then how did you decide to build a business around this?
So the original inspiration for CharaChorder actually was as an accessibility device. My background is in accessible tech. And there is a large group of people that are not able to communicate or vocalize in the same way that you and I might take for granted. And that was the inspiration for the people that are nonverbal to be able to connect with their loved ones and connect even in a business field, to be on a level playing field with their people. There's a video that we actually just put out of a new speech synthesization software that we built, and along with the wearable attachment, where you can walk around with a CharaChorder and you can be talking at the same speed as human output. And there's no other device that's ever been able to do that before.
Because it's so fast to input.
Yeah, so it's combining those multiple technologies together to create the first wearable entry device that can keep with human speech and human thought. We had a video that we posted maybe a month ago that went viral, and then next week we're actually launching that as an official product that you can buy in our store.
Wow. So you started as an accessibility device. That's your background. But then your first product wasn't immediately a Kickstarter, right? You just launched the first product on its own?
Yes. So we went to CES after we'd announced our project and had a lot of interest. We had a prototype that was like a rat's nest of wires hooked up.
Yeah.
And then people would come by and they would just say, "Hey, what is that?" And I would just like type whatever they're saying. And they're like, "Oh my God, that's so cool." And so people just started pre ordering it without us even having a Kickstarter. And we knew that there was a lot we still had to figure out as far as like, how are we actually going to mass produce and manufacture this thing? So we really only started shipping it about 2 years ago. And we had a big surge. Again, we didn't do any marketing or anything outside of me just answering people's questions on TikTok. We worked with a grassroots community that really helped us to build that quality into the product and scale responsibly. So this production facility that I'm standing in right now, we created this because we knew that with our global supply chain, there's nobody that really we can trust other than ourselves to make a product that's this complex and this sophisticated without handling that final assembly ourselves. There's been all of these little micro adjustments and learning that we've had as we kind of ironed out the product to get to where it is today. And finally, we're at that point where after this year of full scale production, we finally have caught up with that demand and are shipping these products weekly for the first time.
So you did two Kickstarters, the light and the dongle. So what made you do Kickstarter after you'd successfully done pre-orders on your own? Why Kickstarter afterwards?
Kickstarter was a great way for us to not have to commit to buying molds and manufacturing PCBs without making sure that there's a significant amount of interest in the product first. We're a team of engineers, so we had to like figure out what is marketing? How do we even do this? We had this like 30-day sprint where we just tried a bunch of different stuff on the marketing side of things. And it was a learning experience, I think, for us more than anything to help us figure out how to build out that side of our business, which still is pretty small.
And so what did you learn about Kickstarter marketing?
Through that campaign, we learned, so we partnered with an agency, the first campaign and not the second. And we learned a lot from them. And we also learned enough to where we were comfortable doing it ourselves the next time. So we have been taking steps to where we want to have our own like sales and marketing division. We just haven't had a need for it before because we've always been behind on production. So we've been really successful with making like viral organic videos whenever you're using something that's this unique and radical, and whenever you're able to type at speeds that really nobody has ever really seen before, it's pretty easy to make a viral video. But we need to be able to consistently not only make viral videos for people that are already interested in this stuff, but if we want to be a global company and we want to actually accomplish our mission of raising average human typing speed to 250 words per minute up from 40 where it is right now, then we eventually are going to have to be somewhat aggressive and pushing into all these other industries that have expressed interest.
And so that's a big difference between having viral videos that go viral once in a while, even though you're really good at it, you've had multiple viral videos, versus just having a very decent advertising strategy that sort of consistently delivers the results that you need in a way that you foresee maybe better than with viral videos, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I, as a CEO, I've been able to wear multiple hats and be the marketing person at the same time as managing the rest of the business. But eventually, I don't want to have to like make new videos all the time. We just started moving to long form content as well to try and take the people that are already know what CharaChorder is and build a deeper, I guess, more complex and intimate relationship with the people that already have an idea of what it is. That was like the lecture that I posted. It's 26 minutes long.
So you're basically building awareness through essentially a funnel where you have also the lowest end, your short form, your TikTok, your social media, and now you're building that out into longer form stuff for people who get hooked with a viral video. And you also have a Discord, right?
Yes. Discord is like the heart of our online community right now. It has been, since we started it maybe a year and a half ago, it has been like our go-to place for working hand in hand with customers. It goes beyond just having an open door policy, right? It's being boots on the ground. Whenever a customer has some sort of complaint or some sort of need for a support request, like I see that we have roles specifically like to tag like your quality team. Like this person, these international orders, like why are we getting 5% of them showing up broken in people's houses in this particular country? I think so we can continue to analyze that data, that I have firsthand visibility, that I'm not hearing it through 3 layers of chain of command. Any customer can reach out to me at any time, which as As stressful as that can be, I think it's really important for a company like us. I have to have a really close pulse on um, the experience that people are having using the product if we're going to continue to improve and continue to come out with all these exciting new features and announcements.
That is super interesting. And also, it seems very stressful, or your days must be very full because, again, yeah, you are the face of the company. It seems you're always on, whenever I open TikTok, I see you typing something really fast. And then on Discord, you're also available to everyone. But it's a really good strategy. I think it's very close to the crowdfunding strategy, right? Where you present yourself as a creator, people can interact with you as a creator versus with you as just a faceless brand. So are there any other platforms or technologies that are particularly helpful for you? We mentioned TikTok, other social media platforms, Discord. Is there anything else?
I think that email is a great way to build a newsletter. Rather than sending out a no reply, we have a dedicated email address so that whenever we send out a message to 10,000 plus people or whatever, anybody can just press reply and ask a question, whether it's related to that email or not,
Yeah.
which has led to a lot of opportunities for touch points that most companies, I think, are just passing up because they see an email as a one-way communication.
When people do that, it's the stupidest thing ever because we also see that actually a lot of people reply to emails. It's a very natural thing to reply to an email, and it often leads to very meaningful conversations and even conversions. I also saw something interesting. You're using this a Shopify plugin called Purple Dot for your pre-orders. How is that working for you? Because I feel like that might be the future of crowdfunding or Kickstarter, where people just skip Kickstarter and just have pre-orders on their Shopify.
There's definitely a lot of creators out there, myself included, who have thought about, do we really need to be giving 5% of all of our pledges to Kickstarter for what, like hosting our video? What else are they really doing? It comes down to, especially for a new company, if it's your first campaign, I think it's the people trust Kickstarter, right? Even though Kickstarter explicitly says you may just lose all your money, this person doesn't actually have to send you anything at the end of the day. They might fail. Still, I think there's people just trust it. I think they were pioneers in crowdfunding. I think everything that we're seeing now, as far as like crowd-funded equity, even looking at like Web3 sort of technologies, I think Kickstarter was a major player in sort of people realizing like we don't need a bank, we don't need all of these investors necessarily to back us. We can just sell the product before we actually make it. All we need to do is just have a really good prototype, step in front of our camera, make our face and like name known, and step out there as a creator and be bold. If you can do all that, and if you can put all that on the line, if you really believe in what you're building, people see that. There's a lot of technologies out there that make it so you don't really need Kickstarter. I've seen tons of successful crowdfunding campaigns that happen outside of some sort of dedicated platform like that. So yeah, we use Purple Dot for pre-orders. It's not really a Kickstarter replacement because it's not a campaign.
So what it does is it manages the payment structure, right? As you're having people on that wait list and then updating them with times, and they can get refunds as well through Purple Dot.
Yeah, I would say that from the customer facing perspective, there's a lot less risk and contributing to a Purple Dot than there's a Kickstarter.
It's super interesting. And I think to your earlier point where you said Kickstarter used to be, I have a prototype and I'm jumping in front of my camera and I'm presenting this to the world. Essentially, people like you are still doing that, but now you're just doing it distributed, right? Like you're in front of a camera on TikTok and then driving people to your shop. So it's still the same thing of you showing a thing that you made and getting a community around it, but you just don't need that one platform to host the video and take the payments because you can split that in this sort of day and age of social media and way more e-commerce tools. We have spotted you in a promo for Shark Tank. We haven't seen the episode yet. We don't know if and when it will air. We also know that you can't really talk about much, right?
Yes, the only reason I can even confirm that we were filmed as part of Shark Tank season 14 is because they showed us in the season preview when they air it. It's like this season on Shark Tank, and then there's like maybe a 8 to 10 second segment that has me typing a little bit and saying like, type at the speed of thought or something. But yeah, we can't share anything about the outcome. We're under like 18 layers of NDAs, and you'll just have to. I also can't even guarantee that they're going to air it. I don't even know if they will necessarily air it this season. They told us they'll let us know when we can share more, and until then, my lips are sealed.
But how did you get on the show, though? Can you talk about that?
I think so. There was a casting producer that I actually met when I was at CES several years ago. And he'd asked us, like, hey, have you ever thought about going on Shark Tank? We didn't even have like a look-alike prototype or anything manufacturable or shipping yet. So I felt that it was premature. So we told him, like, hey, like maybe not quite yet. Because whenever I've seen the few instances where a company comes on pre-revenue with just a prototype, they get eaten alive.
Yeah.
And I feel like Shark Tank, as great as it can be for your business, there's a big risk in going on Shark Tank.
Oh, yeah.
It can totally destroy your reputation. So we wanted to make sure that we were ready and that we had some numbers to back us up outside of just the tech. Because that's what the sharks care about.
Yeah.
They don't care about how cool your tech is. They care about how much money that you're making.
Do you feel like there's a piece of advice that you could give to creators or founders wanting to get on Shark Tank?
Whenever you're in the application process, keep in mind that the goal of the show is to make entertaining television. So you want to be someone that has a lot of character, that can put on a show, and that's what is entertainment. And then that the motive of the sharks is totally separate, and like they're different entities, right?
Yeah.
You have these entrepreneurs, you have these investors, and then you also have the show. So you have to balance the interests of all the parties involved throughout the application process, I would say, is the best advice I could give.
So be entertaining for the TV show and be investable for the sharks. And that's like the golden combo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to press you any further. I'm not going to get you into any legal trouble. But I just had to ask these things. Back to your business. What's next for CharaChorder? What are you releasing that you can't talk about right now?
Yeah. So because since we quit and went full time this past year, we've been working on so many different simultaneous initiatives. We're so excited about so many things. And we noticed this point where they're all like converging and they're all like about to be finished at the same time. For instance, we just launched last week a new operating system, the first ever operating system for intelligent peripherals. And this was a development that started last year when we were putting out the CharaChorder engine. So it's a chip module that anyone can design into a keyboard PCB, which will give that keyboard the capabilities of a chording-enabled device, of a CharaChorder device.
That's so cool.
And there are no commercial limitations on that. So it can be used for DIY or for people to make their own keyboard brands, because it also comes with a perpetual license to all of our intellectual property. When we were creating the engine, whenever we created the X, and we realized, well, our portfolio of products is growing pretty fast. So we took a big step back and we said, all right, we're going to develop like something that nobody has ever done before. We're going to take on this ambitious undertaking of building the world's first operating system for peripheral devices, because the line between what is a computer and what is a keyboard has been blurred. But right now, we just launched, is now available for all CharaChorder devices. And the most impactful thing for us as a company, in addition to some of the new capabilities that we're introducing, is that whenever we fix a bug, whenever we add a new feature, it goes out to every device. That is all CharaChorder 1s, all CharaChorder X's, and all devices powered by CharaChorder engine, regardless of the brand. So that is very powerful because we're a small team. We're a very small team. So that allows us to operate a lot more efficiently. And it also allows us, the new architecture allows for things like dynamic key remapping. Before, the chords were based on switch locations, but now they're based on, we have over 500 unique action codes. So we have some free tools that allows people to dynamically build chord libraries based on any unique layout. So that will be really powerful as we start to see new chording theories emerge and new layouts emerge.
So we might actually see future products, Kickstarters, Shark Tank pitches of people building new keyboards and new layouts on your technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's already a growing DIY community for the CharaChorder engine, and you can white label it. So they can choose whether or not they want to stay powered by CharaChorder engine. But you could see another chording-enabled keyboard. Like you could even see a big company, I don't want to say any names, but you could see a major keyboard brand come out with the Super Typer 6000, like ultra high-speed chording keyboard that could be powered by CharaChorder engine, but you wouldn't even know until you like crack it open and look inside.
That's amazing. Where do people go if they want one, if they want to follow along, if they want to see your announcements? Where should we send them?
So I'd say TikTok is good. That's where I usually post first. Discord is also good. Actually, I usually do post on Discord first. And then LinkedIn, Instagram, those are all good options.
Riley, thank you so much. This has been inspiring. It has been such an astronomical journey that you've been on. Thank you so much for your time. Riley Keene, CharaChorder.com, but find him on TikTok. He's really funny. And thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. And it's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to see your company grow as well. I'll be following your podcast and marketing agency. And we're always happy to come on and talk. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Crowdfunding Academy podcast. To get in touch with me or join the Creator Discord, please follow the links in the show notes.